Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Kinana Biwamak Kahar. My metric number is DF210078. So, in this project, my team had researched this road distress in Parit Sepadan Laut. So, based on the introduction, a road is a straight path for traffic that has an improved surface for use by vehicles. Road as opposed to street serve primarily for transportation. In Malaysia, we also know road is a main infrastructure for Malaysia citizen because land transportation is the major use. Usually local road such as located at urban usually have many problems such as road distress. So in this project we choose Jalan Parit Sepadan Laut Batu Pahat which is in urban location. So based on this project we decide to choose 1 kilometer at the place. Based on the survey, main distress at Jalan Parit Sepadan are potholes, alligator cracking, longitudinal crack, edge cracking. From the distress of the road, pavement condition index, which called also PCI test, is important because from the road distress we can determine the pavement condition index. Okay, so the objective of this project is to identify type of distress occur at the road which is Parit Sempadan Laut Batu Pahat. Second, to determine level of distress by pavement condition index PCI test, which is when we get the distress of the road, we can also can determine the level of distress by using pavement condition index PCI test. Other than that, we also to suggest a maintenance to improve the PCI at the road Parit Sepadan Laut. So, from the suggestion, maybe the government can use for future to improve our road.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Akil Hakimi bin Ismail and I will present about the methodology. Based on the flowchart, our methodology is identify the type of road. Next, we observe the type of distress on the road. Next, we record and collect the data. Next, we complete the calculation and analysis of road. And lastly, we summary of the road. Okay, first, the data collection. The place that we choose is Jalan Parit Sepadan Laut. When we go to observe the road, there are many types of distress found along the road, such as alligator cracking, pothole, and edge cracking. The survey of the road are selected 1 km length. The 1 km road are divided into 10 sections and only 5 sections are inspected. We use the systematic random method to determine the interval. Next, the data of distress such as type and severity level are recorded each 100 meters for 5 samples. Okay, next, after all the data on the road are recorded, we calculating the PCI. Firstly, PCI is the pavement condition index method that used to determine the condition of the road by inspecting the distress on the road. Okay, first, the type of distress need to be determined with the severity level, which is low, L, medium, M, and height for H. And then we can measure the density. After we got the value of the density, we can determine the depth value using the deduct value curve. The deduct value curve used are different based on the different distress. Such as example, the diagram shows the deduct value curve for the alligator cracking. Then the highest deduct value HDV from the PCI sheet are used to calculate the maximum of allowable number of deduct M. After that, the total deduct value Q and CDV corrected deduct value can be determined. The value of TDV, Q and CDV must to be greater than value of M. To find the value of TDV, we must to refer the correction curve using the value of TDV and Q. As an example, the diagram shows the correction curve. The intersection between 2 points, which is TDV and Q, must to be the value of the CDV. Next, after we obtain all the CDV value, the highest CDV value is selected to calculate the PCI using the formula 100 minus VCDV maximum. Lastly, the rating, the level of service and type of maintenance can be determined by using the result of PCI.
Assalamualaikum and hi, I am Nur Izzati binti Ahmad. We're going to explain more about result and calculation for Jalan Parit Sempadan Laut. I choose sample unit 1 as an example for this calculation detail. Based on this data, we find that there is 3 types of distress, which are alligator cracking, longitudinal cracking, and also pothole. For the first type of distress, we find that there is 2 quantity of cracking, which are 0.792 and also 0.195. Total up the value and we get 0.987. Based on that total value, we can find density percentage by multiply the length of the sample with total value divided by the sample area, and the density of the percentage is 0.24. Based on this information, we can find deduct value by referring to the graph of alligator cracking. To find the deduct value, we need to draw the straight line from 0.24 of a distress density and make sure it intersects at M line. From that intersection point, we can draw horizontal line and make sure it intersects at deduct value. From there, we can get the value of a deduct value is 11. Repeat all the steps for the rest of the distress survey. Now, we need to determine maximum allowable number of deduct or AMP. So based on the calculation before, we can identify that the highest deduct value is 21. Next, we need to substitute the value into M formula, and we get M is 8.26. Next, we need to arrange the deduct value in descending order, and we find that there is 4 number of deduct value, which are 21, 11, 9, and 2. Since the maximum allowable number of deduct is 8.26, therefore, we choose all deduct value. Now, we're going to calculate maximum credited deduct value or CDV. So, we total up the deduct value and we get 43. After that, we need to determine the value of Q by referring to the clause 9.5.5.2. Say that deduct value must be greater than 2. So, for the Q in this case is 3. After that, we need to determine CDV by referring to this graph. So, since our TDV is 43, our CDV now is 26. Repeat all this step until Q equals to 1. Once we have calculated all the deduct value, we need to determine the highest CDV to find the pavement condition index. So from this table, we can see that the highest CDV is 27. And then we need to substitute the value into the formula, the PCI formula, and we get that PCI value is 73. Then we need to refer to the standard PCI rating scale, say that 73 is under satisfactory condition. I guess that's all for the calculation and result. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Shazani and I will continue our presentation with discussion on result. So based on our investigation at Jalan Parit Sempadan Laut, along the 1 kilometer samples that we took, there are only 5 samples that has certain distress. So for the first sample, the PCI value is 73, which indicates the road is fulfilled satisfactory. For sample number 2, the PCI value is 89, which is still in good condition. For sample number 3, the PCI value is 80. For sample number 4, the PCI value is 83, and for sample number 5 is 71. These 3 samples all in satisfactory conditions, which needs to be maintained. One of the factors that most of the sample is in satisfactory states is because Jalan Parit Sempadan Laut is used as the main road for bus that took students from Perwira College to campus. So there are a lot of potholes, also longitudinal distress along the road. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, assalammualaikum and good evening. My name is Nurul Aisyah and the matrix number TF2100 and 75. Okay, here I'll be in charge on explaining the recommendation of maintenance or rehabilitation on PCI test. Generally, we all know that PCI test is plain as pavement condition index test, which is to use in analyze the pavement distress and discover the method to recover it. The main purpose of doing this test is for safety of road user in the future. Okay, I do some research on improving the use of PCI test. So as we can see in the slide, the number one is based on the development of road pavement condition index using combined parameter studies. So they stated that a combination of parameters between IRI, which is International Roughness Index, and distress parameters can be improving the PCI test. This is because the measurement of condition index is either roughness alone or roughness and distress data. It is not accurately for such parameters when roughness parameter is utilized alone, because the data for such parameters can be missing during the collecting data process. And since it is dependent on type of vehicle and pavement conditions, using roughness on measurement pavement condition index can be complicated. Okay, next. I found the second thesis about the relationship between International Roughness Index (IRI) and Present Serviceability Index (PSI). So these both index of IRI and PSI can be used as indicators of road roughness and serviceability. So for the measuring technique that used on IRI is by working profilometer, while PSI is by collecting data manually. Okay, as we know, IRI is used to determine the amount of pavement smoothness, and PSI is used to classify the pavement's of performance. Okay, as for PSI, they stated that PSI was created as an equation to connect several pavement distress parameters, and the parameters are slope operation, cracking, rutting, and patching. The relationship between these two in their studies is IRI value will be increased when the PSI is decreased. So to sum in conclusion, both of these research are accurately in improving the PCI test.
Okay, in conclusion, pavement correction index is related to road distress. So, from the road distress, we can conclude that we also will determine pavement condition index. Based on observation that we have concluded, there are many road distress at Jalan Sempadan Laut, which is actually alligator distress, longitudinal distress, and so on. For our observation, the bus from UTHM such as Mansari usually use first 200 meter of the road that we have using to the report. So from the observation 200 meter, there are so many road distress at there. It is because the bus used to send students to Perwira Residential. The main aim of this study is to identify the road distress and measure pavement condition index. So from the aim, our group had been success to identify the road distress and also have measured pavement condition index very well. So that's all for me. Assalamualaikum. You never walk alone. Bye.